Hi, party people. Here's what's happening. Someone just emailed me, asking me a question about Chat GPT writing a blog article, but I am done with work for the day and I'm hungry. So I'm making myself some dinner. So join me for dinner as I make it. And also, I'm gonna answer the question about Chat GPT because I thought he is not the only guy who has this question. So I'm just gonna give you my thoughts about it. It doesn't mean that they're right because this is all new and it's evolving and we'll figure it out together. But first, I've gotta cut some carrots up for, what am I making? I'm making root vegetable something, panzanella with black beans and cremini mushrooms. So we'll also be doing that together. Because again, I'm hungry and I didn't want to wait for either of these things, not for dinner and not for Chat GPT. Writing blog articles. Okay, so the question was, hey, I just tried Chat GPT for my blog articles and guess what? It turned out it wasn't half bad. I can use about 75% of it. And I'm just wondering, will that rank? Will Google like it? Will it be turned off by it? Can I use it? Like, how usable is this information? And the prompt that they gave was write a blog article, SEO optimized for, with this many words about this topic. And they got back something that was 75% usable. And I'm gonna tell you 3 reasons that I think you should not use that from Chat GPT. I think we're getting there and Chat GPT will probably be able to write better blog articles in the future. But I think 3 reasons that it may never work, and for sure it's not gonna work right now, in my opinion. So 3 problems that I see with using Chat GPT in that manner. But in the meantime, so what am I doing? I'm cutting the carrots. Oh, I already started wrong. In half lengthwise. And then 2-inch, then crosswise into 2-inch lengths. Okay, so I already kind of messed that up. Whoops. This is gonna go really well. Okay, so 3 problems that I find. And first, I just want to say I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on television. I do know people who know a lot about intellectual property. And I would highly advise that you speak to someone like that about what is your intellectual property and what is Chat GPT's intellectual property. Who owns what Chat GPT puts out? I've seen a couple of really good sources that maybe I'll link to them in the description here that talk a lot about this, but that's not my job. It's not my jam. I don't know much about that. So we'll move on from there to something that's akin to that though, and it's called plagiarism. So what Chat GPT is not is worried about whether or not it's plagiarizing the information that it's giving you. So right now it is aggregating data and giving it back to you. So I do think there is a time and a place to be a little leery of whether or not Chat GPT is using someone else's original content and feeding it back to you. So I would definitely, there are tools that help you to see if what you've written would be considered plagiarized. And sometimes you're just gonna have to go look for the source of the original content, which brings me to, then is that very useful to use Chat GPT to pull that information together and leave it as is? So what I'm saying is you can aggregate the data through Chat GPT, and at the same time, I do think you're gonna need to change some of it. And a lot of times what we do is use Chat GPT for good outlines for blog content. And then we write original content related to that so that it's not plagiarized and that there is some original content, which kind of brings me to point number 2. So for now, Chat GPT might write an article that would rank for a minute. But do remember, you are not the only one that is asking it to write a blog article that's SEO optimized within a certain number of words around a particular topic. And Google's algorithm will adjust to realize that everyone's publishing the same content. So I think you've got to work with what Chat GPT gives you and make it a little bit more original somehow for it to continue to rank. So you might get a bump and some clicks right away, but I do think that the algorithm's going to know we're all using Chat GPT to write blog content, then becomes not original, which means no one ranks or everyone ranks. And it will depend a lot on your authority score for your website, which just means how much does Google already trust you? And for most small businesses, it's usually in the 10 to 20 category out of 100. So the bigger companies will be served first in organic search if everyone's using the same content. So it's really important that you continue to differentiate yourself and stand out in some way and produce original content and thought, which is why sometimes when you use Chat GPT, I say add some stories in the middle of it so that you're producing original content by adding your stories. No one has stories like you have. No one has experiences like you have. And no one has the way that all of those experiences work together to make you who you are. So keep being you, shine that light bright, because it is your differentiator. And that produces original content, which may rank above what Chat GPT would rank. And also it just makes it more interesting. Like, tell me your story and I am in, I'm hooked. And what you want is for people to stay on your blog article, continue to read. And the way to do that is through storytelling. So that's number 2. Number 3 is original content. Oh, ChatGPT cannot write well. So when we think about readability, that is really important. I really have only, by the way, cut up carrots. And let me just pause for a minute and move on to the turnips. I'm gonna cut the turnip in half lengthwise and then lengthwise again into 1/4 inch wedges. So I'm just wedging this, got it, no problem. So carrots, 2-inch half moons, got it. And I don't actually know if those are 2 inches or not, but I'm gonna assume. So we're doing 1/4 inch wedges, got it. Okay, moving on. I mentioned in my last email, blog article, whatever, that ChatGPT made my video boring. And I've been called a lot of things in my life, but boring's not one of them. And one of the things about that is readability is one of the ways that you rank in SEO. It is one of those scores that matter if you're trying to rank for an article. And one thing that makes something less readable, according to all the algorithms out there, is if you use too many passive verbs in your writing. Plus, it just makes it super boring, even if they're trying to pretend like they're Leslie Knope. So ChatGPT is notorious for having completely passive language. So if you are going to use ChatGPT to write your blog articles and you don't necessarily care about originality, you're just trying to win the click today, then definitely use a tool like Grammarly, because that will help you get more active verbs in your content, which will make it'll make sentences shorter, because ChatGPT is coming out with these, readability is like 10 words or less per sentence for the majority of the time. ChatGPT comes out with these 20, sometimes even 30 word sentences with a bunch of conjunctions and everything. And that's just not going to work for readability in blog articles. So I would be careful of that and make sure that you're chopping up some of those sentences and then changing those passive verbs into active verbs. And you can also use software to do that. Grammarly is a great tool for making that happen. So here we are. Those are the 3 cautionary tales that I have about using ChatGPT. And I do think you should consider looking someone up who has some ideas around intellectual property because it's quite possible that you're stealing someone else's content when you're pulling things out of Chat GPT, and just also boring, and there are no stories, which is what keeps our interest anyway. And speaking of stories, I literally only got through number one. You know what? I didn't even get through step one. I cut my vegetables up, and I did not even toss them with oil or do anything. So I don't have dinner yet, but we're getting closer. Look, I've got wedges of whatever this is, some turnip, and I've got half moons. So we're like a tenth of the way there. Maybe I'll hop back on here, show you what I ended up making. But thank you for making dinner with me tonight and talking about Chat GPT. You helped me answer an email, and also I know my belly's gonna be full very shortly. See ya, bye. Okay, so let's be honest, I probably need a chaperone when I cook in future, but it turned out all right. It's root vegetable panzanella with black beans and cremini mushrooms. I do not think those were cremini mushrooms, but I did make my own ciabatta croutons, and let's face it, there were only about 4 spinach leaves that were still usable, let's say. And I'm not going to show you the mess that I made here, and I waited for the smoke to clear too, but I did get dinner. Now I'm going to eat it, and I'm really excited about it. See you later. Bye.